Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 2 from your book 5A. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between estimating and rounding or approximation. So when you go to a store or any place, there are different things you may do to figure out how you might calculate the numbers. So if you have a number like 72,641 and sorry, let me start again. 72,641,823. If someone was to ask you to estimate it, then what you would do is just take a quick guess as to about how much you had. So if you were counting a bunch of cups and you counted and the cups equal to that, then basically you might say, oh, you know what, I have about 73 million cups. Now, when you estimate, it's just like a guess that's pretty close. And you actually might even say, I have about 70 million cups. Let's just put it that way, 70 million cups. Now, when you round, it's different because whenever you round, they're going to give you specific details as to what they want you to do. So, for instance, if we had this number and they said now they want you to round, they're going to tell you after that directions. So they said round to the nearest 10 million. So let's write the number over here, 72,641,823. Now, after I have the number, I know I have to find the 10 million. Well, I know the million is here because this is thousand, so this is million. 10 million, well, that's 1 million, so this is 10 million. So whenever I round, I know I have to circle the spot that they're saying. So 10 million's there. This spot can either stay the same or change, okay? So whenever I have to figure out is it going to stay the same or change, I look at the number right before it. The 2 I know is going to make it, which you should know from rounding, 2 is going to make it so that it stays the same. And just a reminder, if it is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, it stays the same. That's my little hand saying stop. Do not change that number. Now, if it is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, then you go on and change that number, okay? So this is kind of like the elevator guy. The elevator guy tells the guy in the box, the elevator, what's going to happen. He's either going to stay on that floor or he's going to go change to another floor. And usually they go up to a different floor. So I have this elevator guy, and the elevator guy working today is 2. So this Mr. 2 is going to go into that elevator and say, stay right here, do not move. And then the elevator guy, like magic, poof, turns into a 0. So every other person turns into a 0. And Mr. Elevator guy said stay the same, so he will. So that's how you would round to the nearest 10 million. Okay? Now, if I was to say estimate this and someone else walked up, they might say, oh, I am going to take this number, I'm going to estimate it a different way because, again, this side is guessing. They might say, I'm going to do 73 million. Someone else might walk up and say, I'm going to say 72,600,000. Notice there's loads of different ways we can do as far as estimating. Now, usually they're going to go with this one where it's the easiest, but sometimes you never know. They can do whatever because every person's different. The important thing you have to remember is when you estimate, it's just a guess. As long as you're close, any of these answers, if I said to estimate this, would be correct. But if it says round, you have to specifically round to whatever they tell you to do. Okay? So let's look at one more thing. When you are rounding versus estimating, I'm going to put a different number up here. So let's say we have a number 576, 199. Okay, so there's my number. If I was to estimate this number, I might say, I have about 600,000. Let's say it's cookies because cookies is my favorite. So 600,000 cookies. That would be an estimate, a guess about how many cookies. Now, when you round, They want you to round for this one to the nearest thousand. So I'm going to write nearest thousand. Now I have my number. Now most of the time you'll have this on your paper, so you won't have to rewrite it. But if you're going from the book, you might want to rewrite it. So there's my number. First thing I do is I look for what spot is the thousand spot. So I know this is the thousandth comma, so it's right here. If that's the thousandth spot, then I know the elevator man has to tell me what I'm going to do. So this elevator man's a 1, and we know 1 always says stay the same. So I have 5, that doesn't change. 7 doesn't change. No one changes in the front of the elevator. They are not bothered. But the 6 is going to stay the same, and everyone else turns to a 0. Okay, so that's how you would round to the nearest thousand. Now, another way to look at this, if you get a little confused or you don't know, is I want you to think of if you were walking down the street. Here's my numbers if I count by thousands. I have 577,000. Here's one little house. And here I have the house 576,000. For some reason that number is giving me some trouble today. All right. Now, I draw my house. If I have an actual number, 576,199, I would see where it would fall. Well, let's see. 576,100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 9. There we go. So now, if I have that, and I'm at the house, I'm going to say, okay, where would this fall? Well, it's 199, so it's going to fall right before the 200, right? So it's going to be right about here. If it's here, and that's you're this number, you're walking to your friend's house. And when you're walking at your friend's house, you're saying, those clouds are looking kind of dark. I think it's going to rain. And then it starts to drizzle. Does it make sense to go all the way to your friend's house? Or does it make sense to go back home? And you can't say, I really want to go to my friend's house, so I'm going to run over there. The closest house is the one you want to go to because maybe there's a tornado warning. You don't want to run this far when you can go to this number. And look, if we go to this number, it matches our rounding. So that just kind of helps you if you get confused. Which house? So you make sure you're going to count by thousands. So 6,000, 7,000, that's 8,000. Okay. Well, I hope you understood today's lesson. And if you have any problems, go back, watch it again, and I will see you next time. Bye.